You know, it's a great question, and I think that some of them actually have come out.
About 10, 12?
Said,
okay.
But I think it's almost like, let's focus. Here's kind of what I've been thinking about. The fact is we're going from one scandal to the next, right? We had DSK, we've had Arnold, all of these guys are just, I mean, it's outrageous. But I think the facts are that we've got unemployment, an economy that's struggling, the deficit reduction battle waging on. I mean, it's like stuff, it's hard to wrap your brain around.
Important, but it also takes the Democrats off their message.
No,
scary,
it scares
the crap out of
The problem is, you see, I hate to say this about my party on this, you know, and the Republicans are just as bad but bitter, but I want to tell you, the fact is, what they're saying is, we need to calculate it's not politically helpful, but they don't want to say it's morally wrong. How do you start there and then you don't go through a number of Barney Franks and all the rest of them?
Yeah.
The problem is, this is epidemic, and it's what Ann Coulter said, you know,
so here's
they're dating.
Your question.
Yeah.
Why do Republicans resign, with the exception you mentioned Vitter and one or two others, but mostly
they go right away.
The history is they go away right away.
Well, first of all, because the press comes after them and the senior leadership says you have to go because you can't do it in the constituency. The problem here is people saying anything goes. This is a problem with our society. But Laura says something else that's very important. Last week, this country basically woke up and discovered, oh, my God, it's really not going to get better. We had a major movement in this country.
We did.
With the snap. The country snapped. And this is preoccupying. The country snapped, and I'm telling you, we are headed down a road now where we don't know politically, but this is going to hurt Obama, and it hurts.
We'll give you the last word. Go ahead, Laura.
Well, it's true. I mean, I think that these issues are serious. They're scary. The economy is just in shambles. Unemployment is not making any serious strides toward improvement. And we're just sitting here wondering about, you know, these politicians. These are the people we're looking toward for guidance, and the fact that they can't, well, I'm using that very loosely. Anthony Weiner, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, they're just such a poor example, and it's really upsetting.
There's something wrong there.
The egos out of control.
And just look at the markets this week, too. I mean, that's what I spend my time doing.
That was the only metric that still remained decent. Everything else is in the tubes.
But just in this last week, I mean, we're now 6 straight weeks down. It's
awful.
But these guys are about themselves, not the country, and I'm tired of it.
Good point. I am too. I agree with you. And coming up, it is the documentary of Sarah Palin that has everybody talking tonight. Now, it's never before seen clips and commentary from the film's director. It's only going to be right here on Hannity. But first, finding a way out of the money hole. Apparently, John Stossel investigates our country's looming debt crisis. And I don't know why, but he's got a chainsaw that he's bringing on the set. And I'll find out what those possible solutions are and why this chainsaw is standing next to me. Next. My next guest says the U.S. economy is headed for the way of Greece, and that soon we're going to be spending ourselves into oblivion, thanks to recent proposals, though, from congressmen, you know, like Paul Ryan and Ron Paul. There's finally some movement on the budget slashing front. But in his brand new special, The Money Hole, John Stossel gives new meaning to cutting the budget, literally.
Really?
Oh, man. And joining me now to discuss his new documentary, the host of Stossel on the Fox Business Network, the one and only John Stossel. How are you?
Thank you,
You brought
John.
this thing, what is this, the Hannity Chainsaw Massacre here? That's not for me.
It's going to be, if we don't make reasonable cuts to the budget, we will have to take a chainsaw to it, and that's nasty for everybody.
You see, that's the point. We're going to hit a point where we have no choice. Did you see what China's remarks were? We are already in default. The IMF predicting that China is going to surpass our economy in 5 years. Moody's again predicting in the last week that they're going to downgrade our AAA bond rating.
All that's terrible, except the part, if China surpasses us, I'm okay with that. If they succeed peacefully, that just gives us more outlets to sell things to. Let them prosper, we can prosper too. I don't care who's first.
All right, now, you brought this, what is you're obviously making a point. It's that we're going to have to cut eventually. Why not do it now when it'll be less painful?
Right. And Medicare is just totally unsustainable. There are too many people my age who want to retire and rudely keep wanting to live longer and have cool pills to make our future better, cure our cancer, and it can't be paid for. And so we need to make adjustments now, but whenever the politicians try, they get hammered, except in Canada, where a liberal government cut, and they solved the problem.
Look at what Barack Obama said about Paul Ryan. Ryan wants to have kids with autism, Down syndrome, and old people, quote, fend for themselves. Now, this is a guy that cut $500 billion in Medicare to pay for his, new entitlement program known as Obamacare.
Did he say that?
Yes.
Well, that's nasty. Ryan doesn't.
Yeah.
But Ryan's cuts are reasonable. Even Ryan's cuts don't balance the budget.
No, it's
years,
for 24 years. I want it to be a little quicker, but look, he's been excoriated even for that proposal.
And in my special, we'll show you what happens when a town runs out of money, because America can print money, so we won't run out of money. But they'll just print so much that they'll give you money. Here, offer this to your doctor.
Meaningless.
The doctor will say, I can't buy a loaf of bread with this.
Yeah.
What good is that?
Now, are you planning on cutting these papers?
Well, it's just you asked me to bring my prop, but it's not the way to balance the budget with a chainsaw. Reporters shouldn't be trusted with chainsaws, but this is what's going to happen. I mean, we're 10 years away from Greek levels of debt at the rate we're going now, and any little cut, they say, no, you can't cut that.
What do you think's happened? Because it seems that the country's torn in two places. Because people it's a right to have health care. No, it's not a constitutional right to have health care. How did we survive all these years without Obamacare? The people want retirement, but now old people have to work longer, and young people can't even get into the marketplace to get a job.
Well, these retirement plans were built, Social Security, when most people didn't even live to age 65. Mm-hmm. And now, look, we've been promised this. It's reasonable. The people who are on Medicare and who get angry at me when I say this, they say, I put in my whole life. It was deducted from my paycheck. But they're not aware that they're getting back about 3 times as much on average as they put in. And that's not going to work.
Everybody that I've talked to in Washington, I said, all right, my working life started at 12 when I was scrubbing pots and pans in the Norwood Inn in West Hempstead, Long Island, and tending bar and waiting tables and hanging wallpaper and painting and laying tile and building houses and reconstruction. I did all that all these years, and I paid into Social Security my entire life, John. And now because I've saved some money, I want my money back. Because they promised that it was going to be there, and now I'm told we're going to means test it, and we're also going to raise the retirement age. So probably 3 days before I die, I'll get 5 cents back.
Tough. Deal with it. We have to means test it. We have to raise the retirement age.
Well, think about this, though. Government will legally steal people's money.
They legally steal people's money all the time. And
does it make it right?
No, it is wrong, but the only practical measure is to raise the retirement age. I mean,
I agree. I'll accept
give you your money back till you get back what you paid in, and then those of us who are wealthy, we can afford to pay people who won't have.
I believe in a safety net. All right, we're going to have one more setup for your special. Let's air this right now if we can.
Why are we not in the budget?
This woman's angry because her husband worked for the city of Pritchard, Alabama for 32 years. He held up his end of the bargain. But the city hasn't sent him a pension check now for more than a year. The city council says, we don't have the money. In 2003, an accountant warned the town, you will run out of money by 2009. The politicians then did nothing, as they admit today.
Nothing never changed. Nothing never was accomplished.
Right on schedule in 2009, the town went broke. So politicians declared bankruptcy and just stopped sending pension checks to retired city employees. More than 100 of them. They thought they'd get the retirement checks they'd been promised, but they didn't.
Now, that can't happen federally because they'll print the money.
The feds could print money.
But it might be worthless.
It might be the equivalent, that they give you the money and nobody wants the money because they had to print. So they would have to print 3 times as much money to value the currency to pay for what they've promised now.
All right, we'll be watching. Thanks, John. Great
Thank
report.
you, John.
And be sure to catch John Stossel's special, The Money Hole. It is in its entirety this Sunday, 8 p.m., right here on the Fox News Channel. But let not your heart be troubled. Don't go anywhere. Our great American panels next. And tonight on our Great American panel, he's the founder and the president of the group Bond, the Brotherhood Organization for a New Destiny, in which I'm a board member. The Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson is here. I have to say that for Howard Kurtz, because he gets upset when I don't mention it. She is the editor of Citizen Jane Politics and a contributor to the Daily Beast. Patricia Murphy is here. He was the former mayor of the great city of Providence in Rhode Island. He currently serves as the host of his highly successful and rated Buddy Cianci show, also the author of a terrific book, Politics and Pasta. Vincent Buddy Cianci is here. All right, Wiener survived the week. He survived the week, and it just ended with, law enforcement going into the home of a 17-year-old girl investigating what he sent her. Of course, he denied it, but we had 10 days of lies, so how do you trust him?
Well, this is the only guy that can get into trouble with a sex scandal and not, have sex, I think, but according to him. But
Bill Clinton said, look,
that's probably his mentor, with that relationship.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, the calls for resignation calling on really a deaf ear, a tinner. He's not going to do it. You see, his problem is not so much that he twittered. His problem is that he lied. And when you lied in front,
I think it's both. You send,
it may be both.
A picture of your crotch to a 25, 6-year-old.
He's the only guy that can make that part of the body seem boring. I mean, but when you think about it, I mean, he twitters, and now they've got the 17-year-old that supposedly they're investigating, and that could escalate it. But you see, he doesn't have an alcohol problem where he can just go on TV and say, I'm going into rehab, and I made a mistake, but I'm going to get taken care of. Everybody claps.
He'll say a sex addiction.
Well, he doesn't say that. He says he doesn't know why it happened. It doesn't know. He can't explain it, and that's the problem.
Well, I'd love it if he would go to rehab. Anything it could possibly take to just nip this in the bud. But I think that the lying is a problem. I think the tweeting is a problem. This is just bizarre behavior, depraved, and bordering, if not crossing the line, into being a sexual predator online. And he may not have technically broken the law yet that we know about, but
even he admitted that he didn't know who was receiving these. When it's anonymous, you don't know.
Exactly. But if more details start to come out, if he was texting with this 17-year-old girl, I think that is a total game changer. As of yesterday on the Hill, he was kind of looking okay. He got this poll back that said his constituents don't want him to leave. I think his constituents would feel differently if there's a 17-year-old involved.
I don't know why this isn't enough. I don't know why, how did he survive up to this point? Why would it take a 17-year-old if that turned out to be true?
Well, I think the most interesting thing about what's happening with him right now is that a lot of men are going through this. Wiener was asked, why did you do this? He said, I don't know why I did it. I'm wrong, but I don't know why I did it. And I think it's time that men understand the spirit behind sex. Because when you really think about what's happening, there's no way Anthony Weiner would want to destroy his career, his family, his life.
It's funny you say that. Mark Foley was here last night for his first interview in 5 years. And I gave up this, I gave up this, I gave up this, I let everybody down. And obviously these guys get humiliated, but the compulsion still existed.
That was a very interesting interview, by the way. I happened to see it. But a lot of men, I've counseled with men of all ages, all races, poor and rich, and this thing is driving them. It's causing them to do things that they don't want to do.
What do you think it is?
I think that it's a spirit. It's come from anger. It's come from insecurity. So it's like,
in the case of Foley, he was molested by a priest when he was 11 years old.
But see, what happens when you're molested or if you have a bad parent and you become angry about that, it's judgment. And you become just like what you hate. And you would say, I would never do this. I would never do it. It causes you to do it.